I'm Allison from Learning at the Primary Pond. I'm a literacy specialist, and in this video, I'm going to explain what phoneme manipulation is and why it's so important to do with your students, and I'm going to give you lots of concrete examples as well. Before we dive into it, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to do that, and then also hit the bell so that you're notified every time I post a brand new video about teaching literacy in K2. Okay, so phoneme manipulation, right? Let's talk first actually about phonological awareness, because phoneme manipulation is a subset, it's a type of phonological awareness. And phonological awareness is just the ability to hear and manipulate sounds in words, things like rhyming, even like counting the number of words in a sentence, being able to segment words, blend sounds. This stuff all has to do, you can think of phonological awareness as things you can do in the dark, meaning that there's no letters involved. So we got phonological awareness as the big category, and then we're going to be focusing on phoneme manipulation. Now I know that's a lot of terms. If you ever have a hard time keeping all these definitions straight for phonological awareness and phonics, it's totally understandable. Sometimes I even say the wrong word. So if you've ever found it to be confusing, type yes in a comment just so that other teachers know that they are not alone. This stuff truly can be a lot to remember, and it can be a little bit confusing. Okay, so phoneme manipulation, which is a type of phonological awareness, is actually one of the most challenging phonological awareness tasks that we can ask kids to do. And things like blending individual sounds, like if you say at, and the kids say mat, or clapping syllables, those are a little bit easier. Phoneme manipulation is challenging because the kids are actually like adding phonemes, removing phonemes, or switching phonemes out. And phonemes are just the individual sounds in words. So for example, is a phoneme, sh is a phoneme. It's just one sound, right? So there are three types of phoneme manipulation. There's phoneme addition, phoneme deletion, and phoneme substitution. So we've got phonological awareness, then we've got phoneme manipulation, and then we've got three types of phoneme manipulation below that. So it's a lot. So in this video, we're only going to focus on phoneme addition because I felt like it was just too much to cover all three of these. So this is what we're focusing on. And then in future videos, I will also go over phoneme deletion and phoneme substitution. So today, we're just going to focus on phoneme addition. Okay, so not to confuse things further, but within that subcategory of phoneme addition, there's actually at least three different ways that we can add phonemes. We can add an initial phoneme, like a phoneme to the beginning of a word. So for example, if we have the word and we ask kids to add s to the beginning, they can make sand and sand. In a second, I'll go over like what that might sound like as far as teacher talk when you're actually saying it to them. So we can add an initial phoneme. We can also, or we can add a final phoneme. So for example, you might say to the kids, okay, the word for, add t to the end, and we make fort. So adding a phoneme to the end of a word. Then, and this is really hard, really challenging, we can add a phoneme to a consonant blend. So think about the word cap, right? The sounds are k, ap. Now let's add oo after k, and we get clap. So we added a phoneme to a consonant blend. All right, so it's a lot to think about, and I'll show you, I'll like actually talk you through some examples because sometimes it's hard to know what to say to kids when you're working on this. But even though this stuff can be challenging and it might take some persistence, like you have to do it and model for the kids several times before they get it, maybe even over more than one day, this type of stuff has been shown to be really effective with getting kids to be successful with reading. Many kids who are struggling with reading have an underlying phonological deficit, and so this stuff is very hard for them. So they need training, they need practice in order to be able to do it well, and that will then transfer over to their reading and also their ability to spell words. So yes, it's challenging. It might take a bit for it to click with your students, but it is time well spent because this can have a very positive impact on their reading. Okay, so now what I said I was going to do is give you some examples of what you might like say to kids when you're doing these types of activities. And you're not going to have any letters, no words, right? We're just working with sounds. We're manipulating phonemes, the individual sounds and words. So let's start with adding initial phonemes. So you might say to the kids something like, okay, we're going to practice adding a sound to the beginning of a word or a word part. For example, I might say the word and, repeat, and then they say and add s to the beginning makes sand. Get it? We took and, added s at the beginning, and we got sand. Now you try. So you modeled that one. Now you're asking them to try. The word is lip. Repeat, they say lip. Lip, add s at the beginning, and we get slip. So we added that initial phoneme. But of course, you wouldn't necessarily say slip. You would ask them. You would say, so it'll be more like this. Lip, add s to the beginning, and we get, and I kind of like turn my hand out, and then hopefully they'll say slip. But if not, you just model it. Like I said, this is challenging. You're probably going to have to do it several times. So that's an example of adding initial phoneme and what that might sound like with your kids. Now let's move on to adding final phonemes. So in this case, you might say to your students, let's play a game where we add sounds at the end of words. So for example, if I tell you the word for, you say for. So they say for. For, add t at the end, and it makes fort. Now it's your turn. You're going to try. Okay. The word is car. Repeat, and then they say car. I like to do that little ear cup to remind them that they're supposed to say the word. Car, add t at the end, makes, hopefully they'll say cart, but if not, again, you model, right? You model as many times as you need to so that the kids can eventually do it on their own. All right, now let's go over an example of adding a phoneme to a consonant blend. This again is quite challenging. Generally speaking, I feel like I don't work on this until the kids have actually had opportunities to like blend and segment words with consonant blends, even like read and write words with consonant blends, because it just kind of like takes some experience. So they need to be able to, for example, take the sounds slip and make slip before you're adding this additional challenge of sticking in a phoneme to a consonant blend. Just a side note there. Okay, so let's say you're gonna do this with your kids. You might say something like, okay, first graders, let's play a game. We're gonna add a sound after the first sound in a word. For example, let's say I have the word cap. Repeat, they say cap. Cap, add ul after k, makes clap. Do you hear how we had cap and then we stuck that ul sound in and we got clap? That's cool, right? Okay, now it's your turn. The word is sake. Repeat, they say sake. Sake, add n after s, and we get, hopefully they would say snake. But again, if not, you tell them the word, you model it until they can get it on their own. So I hope it was helpful to kind of hear like the teacher language, because I know when I first started teaching, I was kind of like, what on earth? You know, like I understood what these things were when it came to phoneme manipulation, but I was like, what on earth would this sound like? So I hope that hearing those teacher examples was helpful to you. Okay, if you want more information about phonics instruction and a little bit of phonological awareness instruction, I'm going to include a link below to get access to my free webinar, because phonological awareness is one piece, but phonics is when we actually apply it to reading and writing words, which helps with reading, right? Reading and spelling. So if you're ready to take the next step with that, the webinar is totally free. You get a certificate, a free download, lots of goodies. So make sure to look for that link and register for the webinar. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.